Recently on my Instagram, I released a kind of breakdown of a step-by-step process of a method that I've explored in my own life, upon thousands of hours of trial and error with meditation, and a process that I work often with people one-on-one, because in my experience, it's one of the more direct approaches to resolving and processing emotional energy, and things that arise in the body. And just as a kind of precursor to what we'll explore today, when we look at our life experience, and we look at, when we're facing any sort of trouble, challenge, suffering, we can pretty much boil down all suffering to a feeling experience in the body, right? Like if we're experiencing any sort of suffering, whether it's a feeling, a feeling of regret, or a feeling of sadness, feeling anxiety, well, we're going to feel that somewhere in the body, obviously, right? We only have this body at our disposal when it comes to our life experience. So when we're feeling something, um, we're going to feel it in the body somewhere. So when it comes to how we deal with that, how do we process these energies? How do we kind of surrender to them so that we're not consumed by these emotions that arise? Well, essentially, the priority of our processing is to identify where exactly in the body that energy is arising. Because often I'd say that the common human is very lazy in that approach. And lazy is kind of a relative term, because some of us don't even just have never been taught. We don't know how to deal with identifying emotions in the body. So what tends to happen is that when we're feeling anxiety, let's say, which is simply just tension in the gut, right? We're feeling energy in the gut. We're feeling this uncomfortable kind of churning and grinding of gears in the gut region. Um, that simple recognition that, okay, this is just a feeling, an emotion that I'm experiencing directly in my gut or my solar plexus or whatever, and it's a ball of energy, and it feels this way, and it's like this big or this big, like we're getting into more of a identification, a qualitative awareness and observation of what is this actually, right? Like staying grounded in reality, that this anxiety is exactly this. This is essentially what I'm pointing to with this meditation. Instead of us doing this, the majority of the time when we're feeling anxiety, this anxiety turns into, oh, my life is very challenging, and this, story is, very harmful, and this person is very irritating, and they've done this to me so many times, and why do they keep doing this to me, and maybe they're going to keep doing it to me again in the future, or maybe this situation, it keeps happening. Why does it keep happening? So we see that this little ball of energy, emotion that's stuck in your gut somewhere, has just turned into an entire scenario, this entire storyline that now is your entire life experience. The entire life experience is now this topic, right? And so this is not just related to anxiety. This is related to pretty much anything we experience in our life. Next president gets elected, we're either feeling great or feeling very triggered, and all of a sudden the triggering creates this entire reality and storyline as to what this next 4 years is going to be like, and blah blah blah. Or I don't know, 1,000 more cases of COVID. Now all of a sudden this emotion that we feel in our gut has now turned into an entire storyline of fear and perpetuation of how we need to live our lives for the next whatever amount of time. So we can see how us learning to identify and really get into and feel, like actually feel, what is the reality of the situation, not what is the mind making this out to be. This is a vital, important, method and approach, which obviously you're all hearing. You probably already explored this to some degree, but I hope this explanation kind of grounds it in as the importance to it even more. And it just sets the tone for how we'll explore this right now in this meditation here. So, yeah, let's do that. Whenever you feel ready, we can get into a comfortable seat, or you can lie down. And when you feel ready, we can close the eyes and just bring the attention inwards. And so we are, halfway through the day. And so we may find ourselves already in a certain type of feeling state in the body. And so we're not needing to go looking for anything right now. We're just simply resting in our body, and we're resting in how we are presently feeling, just taking inventory, taking note, just observing what is present and how do we feel presently. And so this comes by way of us just simply observing the entirety of our body and mind, emotions, energies. We're feeling the entirety of ourselves and our anatomy, and what we are presently observing is really okay as it is. We're not needing to change anything. We're not in a place of needing to manipulate our experience or control our experience in any way. We're just simply observing what is here, what is present, what is now. And so this comes in a myriad of forms through sensation, thoughts, feelings, emotions. And so we'll find that often thoughts, feelings, sensations, they're all kind of intertwined. They don't really come independent of each other. Like we may have a particular thought, but that thought often will come with some level of a charge. It could be very subtle to the point where it seems like there's no real charge or feeling, emotion tied to it at all. But sometimes it's very charged. Particular thoughts or beliefs may have a varying level of intensity to the feeling energy or emotion that's tied to these particular thoughts. And so we can kind of trace and follow the rabbit hole or the rabbit trail right into the body, where we may feel into the particular region of the body where various charges of feeling, emotion may be. Now this isn't just a negative or uncomfortable feeling. This could be something that feels very pleasant, very comfortable, very enjoyable. There could be a feeling of love or joyfulness, compassion. So we're just coming to rest into whatever is presently there. We're not needing to for it to be anything, and we're not needing to go look for anything, because oftentimes the feelings that are here are quite obvious. It's just that we may, look away from them or try and avoid perceiving these feelings that we are experiencing in the body. And so, as we identify the region of the body that we may be feeling a particular emotion or sensation or feeling, let's see if we can just kind of sink into that region of the body, really get intimate with the body. That's essentially what this practice is. We're are surrendering and deepening into the variety of feelings and energies that arise here in the torso. And it's like we're moving through the layers of an onion, essentially, because any feeling state or feeling emotion that we experience in the torso often has kind of a ball like um, sensation around it. And as we deepen into it, feel into it, we often will feel that this ball that is perceived from the outside, as we sink into it, and it's like we're perceiving from this energy ball, whether that's a feeling of joyfulness or a feeling of anxiety or sadness or guilt or love or compassion, it doesn't really matter. As we sink into this energy, the energy will often begin to oscillate and move. Sometimes it expands, sometimes it intensifies even. But if it's something that's not so comfortable, something that's not so pleasant, something that's causing suffering, it often will begin to transmute and dissolve, and it may start to move through the body, or or maybe the intensity of how it was being felt, it kind of peaks out and starts to expand and dissolve a little bit. And so this is a very individual experience, and it may be very different for each of us. But naturally, we are continuously kind of repeating this process, whatever energies or emotional charges that we feel in relation to any topic, any circumstance, any situation in your life at this moment. We're repeating this process of not moving away from these feelings, but deepening into them and really moving to the core of them, experiencing them directly. And we're repeating this process to the point where we are rested in a natural and easeful joyfulness or peace, maybe a certain silence. The silence is often filled, though. Silence is not just an empty experience. Silence can often be a filled experience as we open to the heart. And this may, as we repeat this process of exploring the torso, the body, where we generally feel charges of energy or feeling, emotion, we may kind of naturally be pulled into the heart region. And you'll find as you repeat this process, the energies that are holding a certain denser frequency, like guilt, shame, regret, sadness, anger, as we focus upon these, we essentially begin to alchemize these energies. So energy is never destroyed, it just transforms into something new. And so as we explore any of these denser feelings, as we practice this process, these energies dissolve, but they're not really disappearing. They are transmuting into energy that can be used into experiencing joyfulness, compassion, love. And so as these denser feelings in the body are, experienced directly, felt, and then naturally transmuted, at a certain point we kind of come back to ourselves. There's a certain neutrality that begins to emerge where the body feels into a natural contentment, a natural peace. And if it does not feel this way, then this process can just naturally be repeated again and again, where as a certain charge of emotion or feeling arises in any particular region of the body, we are moving right into it. We are directly coming into it, moving to the core of it, releasing from all judgments of it, including any judgments or intention of needing this emotion or feeling to fix itself, heal, release, dissolve, or change in any way. Or just simply being there with everything. Whatever is arising, we're there with it. And as this is repeated again and again, At a certain point, it just kind of dissolves itself. There's nothing really else to look at. The body has come to a natural peace, a natural contentment. And this is where the openness into this natural flowing river of joyfulness, compassion, love, fulfillment, all of this kind of can naturally bloom as we kind of rest in this. And as there's a natural focus upon the primary source of oneself, which is often felt right in the center of the heart, this begins to kind of expand this joyfulness in every direction, where the entirety anatomy is all consumed by this peace, this inner silence, this inner joyfulness, this love. And there's nothing really to do here, just simply rest in it all. So we can see that as we taste the fruit of this inner peace and silence, this becomes the primary focus and desire. And the more it's tasted, the more we dissolve into it, the more that this desire becomes the primary desire of our life experience. Everything begins to focalize on this intention of experiencing this natural silence of oneself, which is synonymous with a natural love, natural compassion for life in all its forms. And so, as the myriad of arising thoughts and feelings that have a certain charge to them may still come from this space, this process that we've explored can naturally transmute these and dissolve these back into the silence. So we can see that there is really no thought or no feeling storyline drama of the personal identity, etc., there is really nothing that is more attractive than the desire for this inner love and natural silence, this realization of your natural self. And so, with that, this process is repeated endlessly, where no matter the contents of the arising thoughts or feelings or storylines, identities that arise, this process is done, again and again to essentially dissolve all of this back into this original source. So, from this space that we've created here, at least this container, this meditation, there's really nothing of interest. All the desires, hopes, and dreams of the future, the regrets, the fears, traumas of the past, everything that we could conceive connected to our personal identity or personal story, none of it is of any importance, none of it's of any interest, at least in this container that we've set here, in this intention. It's all given up. And so, to the degree in which one surrenders into this silence, is the degree in which one will have a very subtle connection to their anatomy, meaning that even the most subtle layers of suffering or mind programs, emotional trauma, or various lingering energies that may be bringing even the most subtle layers of suffering, this will all be perceived. And so, as there's a intensified focus upon coming into this silent peace and love, compassion, then with that comes the most um, detailed of focus in regards to any layers of suffering that may be on the most deepened layers of one's anatomy, on the deeper levels of the energetic anatomy or any layer of the anatomy. This will naturally come to the surface or come to the forefront. Not necessarily here now in this meditation, but this may arise at any point as the vantage point of perception has gone further back, if you will, or is at a deeper point, then more is revealed. So as awareness is expanded, then more is revealed. And so some of us may feel complete here, at least for this session. Others may feel called to deepen into this and go longer on their own time, which is always recommended, at least to the degree in which one can do without strain, just continuing to just bask in this energy. At a certain point, as we connect to this inner silence and this inner love, we can essentially reside here for as long as we like. And the longer we do, the more we kind of essentially sink into a pool of healing, or what we've used as a metaphor previously, which is like charging up in a charging station. You're like an electric car or something of that nature. You're connecting to the original source of energy, which is you, and thus the entirety of what you call yourself in this body is being charged up, is being healed, is being revitalized, regenerated in all ways. And of course, science is catching up to prove all of these now, of the importance and power in our physical health with practices like meditation. But this has been known for aeons, that as we connect to our original source, we are, of course, connecting to the original source of energy and vitality and health and immunity and power and love, all of the above. And so, for those who do feel complete here, then naturally the eyes can open and we can return ourselves here. So, if there's any